The first time Stickman saw the number on his screen, he didn't smile. He didn't celebrate. He didn't even move. $500,000 sat quietly in front of him, glowing softly on a screen that had once terrified him. For years, this number had lived in his imagination as something powerful, something life. But now that it was real, the feeling wasn't excitement. It was silence. For most of his life, money had never been absent from his thoughts. Even on good days, it lingered in the background, shaping decisions quietly. It influenced when he rested, what risks he took, and how much joy he allowed himself. Saving and investing became more than habits, they became armor. Every dollar was protection against the future he couldn't predict. When Stickman was younger, retirement felt distant and abstract. People around him talked about numbers as if they were destinations. Once you hit this amount, everything changes, they said. He didn't know what everything meant, but he believed it. So he followed the path laid out for him without questioning it. Work hard, save consistently, invest patiently. Repeat. The journey wasn't smooth. There were moments of doubt, market drops that shook his confidence, and nights when he wondered if the effort was worth it. But he kept going, driven not by passion, but by responsibility. Stopping felt dangerous. Slowing down felt irresponsible. Now, staring at that number, he noticed something unexpected. His chest didn't tighten the way it used to. His mind didn't rush forward into worst-case scenarios. For the first time, the future didn't feel like a threat waiting to happen. Stickman leaned back and tried to understand why this moment felt different from every other milestone he had crossed. 10,000 had felt exciting, 100,000 had felt empowering, but 500,000 felt grounding, like solid ground beneath his feet. Instead of a rope, he had to keep climbing. He realized this number didn't represent luxury. It didn't mean he could stop caring or live carelessly. What it represented was margin. Space between him and disaster. Time to think instead of react. Room to make mistakes without panic. Before this point, every financial decision had carried urgency. Every opportunity felt like something he couldn't afford to miss. But now, urgency softened. He could pause. He could say no. And that ability quietly changed how he saw the world. His relationship with work began to shift in subtle ways. He still showed up. He still cared. But fear no longer sat in the driver's seat. Losing a job no longer felt like falling off a cliff. It felt like stepping onto a different road. That shift alone gave him confidence he had never felt before. Stickman also noticed how his thinking became clearer. Without constant financial pressure, he could finally separate real opportunity from noise. He stopped chasing growth for the sake of growth. Stability started to matter more than speed. Sustainability mattered more than excitement. Another quiet change appeared in how he compared himself to others. Before, other people's success stories felt like reminders of what he lacked. Now, they felt neutral. Inspiring, maybe, but no longer threatening. He wasn't racing anyone anymore. Spending changed too, not because he became careless, but because he became intentional. He no longer spent money to feel safe or validated. Security wasn't something he needed to buy anymore. Purchases became choices, not emotional reactions. Emotionally, the biggest shift was in how he experienced time. For years, the present had always been a means to an end. Everything was preparation. But now, the present mattered again. Moments stopped feeling wasted just because they weren't productive. Stickman realized that this is what people misunderstand about retirement savings. It's not about reaching a number that magically fixes your life. It's about reaching a point where fear loosens its grip, where decisions stop being reactive and start being thoughtful. $500,000 didn't make him rich. It made him resilient. And resilience, he learned, is far more powerful than wealth. He thought about people who keep chasing numbers long after they've built enough. People who never stop because they never pause to ask why. He understood how easy it is to miss the moment when more stops improving your life and starts complicating it. This milestone didn't mean his journey was over. It meant the journey changed shape. Investing no longer needed to be aggressive. It needed to be careful, protective, and patient. Growth became optional. Stability became essential. One evening, Stickman closed his laptop and sat quietly in his room. Nothing around him had changed. Same walls, same chair, same silence. But internally, the pressure he had carried for years had softened. Not disappeared but become manageable. He finally understood why people say everything changes at this point. Not because life becomes perfect, but because life becomes flexible. And flexibility is what creates peace. For Stickman, $500,000 wasn't the finish line. It was the moment the fear stopped shouting. The moment urgency faded. The moment he gained control over his own pace. And that is why everything changes, not because of the number itself, but because of what the number quietly gives back: time, clarity, and the freedom to breathe.